This right here is a good looking truck. 2020-21. Got the boxes. We come back around here. Got a 275 gallon water tank way up there. 100 gallon soap tank. 10 gallon gas tank. 8 gallon a minute with the Kohler. We got the proportioner, the real proportioner. We got some hose reels.
Beautiful hand-aid hose reels.
And I do like them hand-aid.
Yeah.
So, what is one thing that you have learned by growing a pressure washing business? Actually, first off, tell me a little bit, name, who you are, and where we're at, and that kind of stuff.
Sure. Jonathan Maynard. We are in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I own Red Door Pro Wash. We are a just exterior cleaning company, location here in Fredericksburg, and then one in Manassas, which is about an hour north of here.
So, when did you start the business?
It was born July of 2016.
Gotcha. And what made you start a pressure washing business?
You know, interestingly enough, I had started a maid service, Red Door Cleaning, and I had leased an office space. I was walking the space with the property manager, and he said, "Hey, do you know anybody that pressure washes sidewalks?" He said, "I've got these sidewalks, and I can't get anybody to call me back." And I was like, "Well, how much do you normally pay for something like this?" He's like, "Well, for the sidewalks around here, we normally pay $1,600. And I was like, "Give me a minute." So I went and started doing some research into it, and started Red Door Pro Wash literally 2 weeks later, and took care of his sidewalks, and then started doing pressure washing of houses on the side, nights and weekends.
And when you first started, did you like get into all the systems and all of that stuff, or how did you start out?
No, I bought a trailer from a company out in Utah, had it shipped to me, took it out, and a buddy of mine, there's a realtor, he's like, "Hey, I need this house pressure washed," and I was like, "Okay, I'll go do that." We did the sidewalks, and it was just me. I watched a YouTube video on how to operate a surface cleaner that came with the machine. So it came with the surface cleaner. It was one of those BE pressure, just
16-inch.
Yeah. So watched the sidewalks with that. That was a learning experience, and then went to go do a house, and just how I used to, just take a pressure washer, just washing a house. That no sodium hypochlorite, no soap, nothing. Just me and water. And there's a hot water machine too, so I was like, "Hey, let's get it done."
And so your first year doing that, how much did you end up making that first year, just using pressure, no chemicals?
That was July to about September. I washed like 8 or 10 houses doing that, and then I went to a convention where I met some people that actually knew what they were doing, and learned about like soft washing using sodium hypochlorite, using stuff that you should use.
Right.
And so
let's talk about that a little bit. We'll go down this rabbit hole a little bit. What you talk about going to a convention? Do you think that's a good thing to go to a convention?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's to learn. I think it's better for education, especially when you're first starting out. You can watch videos and things like that, but sometimes it's really connecting with people and being able to find people that are 2, 3, 5 years down the road than you, and ask those questions. If you can sit down and talk to somebody and go, "Okay, how do you do this?" Or if you're just a fly on the wall and you're listening to conversations, and that's really what I did, is I was just listening to two guys that have been doing it for a long time, just start talking about it, and I'm just picking things up. So I think that's really where conventions are extremely valuable, is just the knowledge that you get from them.
So don't we have a convention coming up, right? Would you recommend it at all?
I think so. It's in August. It's the huge convention. It's going to be at the Marriott Marquis Hotel, very nice hotel.
And going back to that, with that, when you go to these conventions, have you met people there that have literally changed your life because you met them there?
Oh, the name that always would come to the top of my head is Pat Clark. He literally changed the trajectory of my life, my business. He is honestly one of my heroes, and it's funny because he's a lot younger than I am now. I'm only 43. I know I look like I'm like 50 plus, but Pat really took the time and just kind of explained things. He has such a teacher's heart and such a servant's heart. And I would say, guys like that, Ray, Dougie Doo, guys like that have just kind of been around the block, that know what they're talking about. And sometimes you may not agree with the personality of people because everybody's different. Everybody's got a personality. You may gravitate towards some or others.
Some people watch this channel, some people watch Ray, some people watch, it's just, I understand that 100%. And that's the thing that I really want to push. I know we wasn't going down this road, but honestly, I can look back at the times that I've been to the Huge, met people, different networking places, and that, even if you just learn one thing from a networking side of thing, maybe you go sit down and eat dinner with something. And honestly, my personal opinion is you will learn more from going and sitting down at a group of table with people than you probably will even in the classes. And I know that's a harsh thing to say, but in reality, that is all it takes is maybe that one thing that you might hear, hey, he's doing this, and now you go to try to do it, and you're like, you take that back to your business, and that's the thing that will blow you up bigger than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really checking the ego at the door, thinking that you've got it figured out. And I think that was why I was so successful in the beginning, is because I didn't have it figured out. So I was like,
do you have it figured out now?
No, still don't have it figured out. And that's the fun part about this, is it's always learning, it's trying new things, figuring out what's worked, and having conversations with people and going, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and they go, well, I tried that, and this is what I learned. And I'm still stubborn. I'm still a very entrepreneur. Like, don't tell me I can't do something, because I'm going to go do it. But it's really going, okay, what worked for you? What's going to work for me? Because what works for you necessarily might not work for me. Because, for example, Bobby Walker, I was having a conversation with him the other day, and I was like, hey, what do you use for, water-fed pole? And he's like, well, I need this system here. And that works for Bobby because he's in a high TDS area. I don't need a full system. We can get by with just a resin tank because we have low TDS. So you have to really take the environmental factors into it as well and go, right, okay, just because it works here doesn't mean it's going to work here. But it's asking the questions.
But I thought there was only one way to clean.
No. Well, according to some people, yeah, and you have to avoid definitive statements. This always works, or this never works, or that will always work, or this will never work. It's all fluid, and that's the hardest part about this business, is going, okay, what are the things that works here? It's really a learning experience and kind of figuring out what works for you.
Absolutely. So getting back to track here, since we went down that rabbit trail, and I still believe I still learn every day. Jonathan, he's still learning every day. We go to BBB, and that's where I met Jonathan. He's a successful business owner, and that's what, and that's the thing about going to these conventions too. And a lot of times these conventions you'll learn, on Facebook you'll hear the keyboard cowboys going, and they can say that they're making this and that. But when you start getting that close to heart to heart, you find out what really people are, or if they are not. And a lot of those people that are keyboard cowboys won't even be there because that's something that they can't do, because they can't be a douchebag online at that point. So that's the reason why I like going to conventions, stuff like that. So I'll put the link down below, so make sure you go check out that link and to get signed up. And so moving forward, what is some things that you've learned in business that has helped you grow your business?
Know your numbers.
What do you mean by knowing my numbers? I mean, if I sell a $300 job, that's the number I need to know, or what?
No, because, and a lot of people think that. Like, I sell a $300 job, I put $300 in my pocket. Well, that's really not the case. You need to know, okay, that's your top line number, that's your sales, and then you have your expenses that come out of it. You've got to, pay yourself or pay the people. You have to pay for your chemicals. You got to pay for your truck, your fuel, and you need to know, okay, you've got the top line number, then you've got cost of goods sold, which are your expenses that you pay to do the job, and then you have your other expenses, marketing, things like that. And also, do you want to buy another truck? Do you want to upgrade a piece of equipment? Well, if you're taking 100% of the money out of your business, you're going to be in that perpetual cycle of debt or chasing your tail. And it's knowing that. What does it cost you to acquire a customer? what is your marketing spend? What is your close rate? How many jobs are you closing? If you're closing 100% of your jobs, your prices are too low. If you're closing 30% of your jobs, your prices are too high. We run right now, we're at a 63% close rate right now. So you want to know that number. You want to know what your average ticket is, because you're going to use that. If your average ticket is, $200, then you may need to, increase your speed. You may need to get more efficient. So, what are the things that you can do to make sure that those numbers make sense?
And knowing your numbers is probably, especially if you have a tech mindset, can be one of the hardest things.
Absolutely.
To figuring out that stuff. But this is kind of the importance of CRMs, QuickBooks, different things. Having a bookkeeper, we got a friend, Dan Plata, that does bookkeeping, and that kind of can help you make sure that you're knowing your numbers. If you're not that number type of person, or find a person that is that number type of person, so then that way you can make sure that you're making sure your numbers are good.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't, especially when you're brand new, you may not necessarily need to. QuickBooks isn't a big investment. I think it's $39 a month. But if you're like, okay, I'm on a shoestring, I'm trying to make this happen, a simple spreadsheet.
You can do Google Sheets.
Google Sheets is free.
It's free. And there's actually templates in there that you can go through and find a template that you can use, and it will help you. I mean, it'll ask you all the questions that you can dump everything, know. So you said knowing your numbers is very good, especially when you're looking to scale. You really need to know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you can't scale at that point, or you're going to be a train wreck at the end of the day, is basically what's going to happen. So obviously you've been in business for a while now. You've never failed, I'm assuming. So if you have failed, what is one thing you failed at, and what is some things that you've learned from your failures?
Oh gosh. So a big failure that I had was putting too much responsibility on somebody without the proper training. So, whenever you first start, it's easy to go, okay, showing somebody how to wash a house once or twice, and then just, okay, go do it. Expect them to make the right decisions. I always say, delegation without instruction is abdication. So what that means is, if you're going to delegate to somebody, but you're not going to tell them how to do it and what the expectations are, you're basically abdicating your responsibility, and that's not healthy. So you need to delegate, you need to give them instructions, and you need to follow up with it. That's really where I failed in the beginning, was just expecting people to know things that I already knew that took me.
Now, if we give somebody instruction one time, is that all we got to do, or do?
Oh yeah, just tell them once and they got it. No, and I find this with our technicians, our service managers even, and it's a constant repeating. So you have to, and you can't repeat 1,000 things to them. It's just some core things. Are you doing your follow-up? Are you doing your follow-up? And then you find that one thing, you find your pain points, and you just repeat it every day. Hey, I know I sound like a broken record, but this is the expectation. It's like the checklist that you were showing me. That has to be completed on every job. You think about a pilot, okay? A pilot probably knows how to fly an airplane. Would you assume that?
I would assume that. Even if he's been there 50 years.
50 years. Every time they go to take off, they run that checklist.
And the reason, why do they do that?
So they don't miss anything, because it's easy. Because you get in such a routine, it's easy to miss something.
Yep. And that one time you forgot your bleach tank and ran out of bleach.
Yeah. Or you forget, we've had it where guys are like, I forgot my high pressure wand. And they're 30 minutes away.
Right.
And now I've got to send a service manager, I've got to send somebody from the office out there, I've got to go out there, and they don't want me coming out there to bring them their wand, because they should have remembered it.
Yep. Doing them check sheets, even your daily truck check sheets in the morning. So what is, if you were starting brand new, what is something you would tell a new guy?
Wow. I think if somebody's starting out business fresh, is learn. There's so much to learn. And learn the trade, learn the technician side of it. Yes, you need to be good at what you do, but also learn the business side. I think the business side is almost harder, because there's so many moving parts. So like going back to know your numbers, knowing people, knowing how to recruit, how to hire, how to onboard, how to train, how to maintain that person, and then when the day comes, then they leave, knowing how to release them, whether that's out to a better opportunity or whether that is through progressive coaching and realizing they're not a fit for your company, so you've got to let them go, and how to do that without causing a liability to yourself or your company, and without causing them a liability. So it's really kind of that progression of steps. So knowing the business side of it and being a constant learner. There's a book, I've got it over here, it's called Business Made Simple by Don Miller. It's literally 60 days of education on building a business. You buy the book, you sign up for his videos, he sends you a video every day. It's a really good education on how to grow a business, because if you look at a business like an airplane, you've got all these things in the cockpit. You're the owner, you're the one that's guiding this airplane. And then you've got the wings, that's your sales and marketing. That is what is going to give your company lift. And then you've got the body of the airplane, that's all your overhead. If you've got an airplane that has a big fat body and itty bitty wings, is it going to fly? No. So you want something that is balanced. You want an airplane that's got a cockpit, because if you're not directing the airplane and nobody's flying the airplane, you're going to crash. And it's about having overhead that makes sense, and then sales and marketing, your wings, that's the thing that's going to take you, and you got the engines, that's providing your thrust, that's part of the wings. So it's knowing that, and Don Miller really does a good job in his podcast and also in that book. So that's what I would say, is learn the business side and also learn the technical side.
Now, do you just need to do that in the beginning, or?
No, it's continuing education. It's every day digging in, and I still do it to this day. And like I said, I still don't have everything. I'm still figuring things out, and really just digging into it every day. Just being a continual learner and realizing that you don't know everything. That somebody can teach you something. Even a new guy can teach me something.
Absolutely. That's some good information. That's something that I think that a lot of people miss out on, and I think a lot of people get to a point that they think that they know it all, and that is something that we don't know everything at the end of the day. I don't think I got any more questions. I wasn't planning on even going that long, but that's some good information, and I appreciate it, and thank you very much, Jonathan.
No problem, Jason.
Awesome.